sewing friends. On behalf of uncommonthread.com, I'd like to thank you for downloading our video on the Sulky Cotton Petite threads. My name is Michelle Umloff and I am a certified Sulky teacher. In this video, I'm also going to show you how to make this quick and easy Madeira applique tea towel. We're going to use the cotton petite threads to do our hand embroidery, and we'll also use some cotton blendable threads to do some accent decorative stitching. The Sulky Cotton Petite Threads is a premier quality long staple thread. It's been mercerized so it's nice and strong. It's made out of Egyptian cotton, and the end result is a soft matte finish that gives it a warm, soft, and natural look and feel. This is really fantastic thread to work with. Now, what's unique about the Sulky Cotton Petite Threads is that it is a petite spool of thread. Yes, it only contains 50 yards of thread versus 500 yards or even 330 yards for 12 weight thread. They also have a snap end on each end of the spool that helps keep the thread neat and organized. Now, this is the heavier weight thread. It's 12 weight, and it is equivalent to one strand. One strand of the thread is equivalent to 2 strands of your regular embroidery hand embroidery floss. Now, this picture I've shown you before. This just kind of is not to scale, but it gives you an indication of the different weights of threads that are out there. Now, the 40 weight thread, the rayon, is like the industry standard. Now, we're working with the 12 weight thread in the cotton petite, so you can see that that is considerably heavier than the 40 weight thread. The cotton petite thread is perfect for hand work. You can do hand embroidery, quilting, crazy patch, blanket stitch, decorative stitches, any type of heirloom sewing, red work, and much, much more. I also think it's really convenient for small machine projects too, since there are only 50 yards of thread on these spools. And that's the 12 weight thread. Just keep that in mind. It is a thicker weight thread. Cotton petites are available individually. You can buy it in a 6-pack assortment, or you can even purchase the Petite Slimline collection, which has every single color that's available in the cotton petites. The cotton petites are available in 80 different colors, and these are just the solid colors. When you go to uncommonthread.com, you can look at each individual color a little bit more closely. And the cotton petite threads are also available in 14 blendable colors, which is very nice. Now, if you're not familiar with the Cotton Blendables thread, it is multicolored thread that has random subtle color changes between every 2.5 to 5 inches, and that's random. So it could be 2.5 inches at one point, and it might be 5 at another, and it might be 3 inches at another point. And that's really important so you don't get the striated effect. Here are the 6 different colors that are available in the smaller assortment. And then the cotton petites is also available in a slimline collection in this really nice case. The case will hold up to 104 of the smaller snap spools, but the collection only contains 80, so you have plenty of room to store some of your other threads. If you decide to use this thread in your sewing machine, I just want you to know that you would want to use a 1490 or even possibly a 16100 needle, and that should be a quilting or a top stitch needle. And then you possibly would need to lower your top tension slightly. So that's just some tips when working with the cotton petites in your sewing machine. So let's get on to our Madeira applique tea towel. You'll need some supplies for this, and you can get them at uncommonthread.com. Uncommonthread.com offers 15% off retail prices every single day, and this is the picture of some of the supplies that you will need for this project. The supplies you will need are the Sulky Cotton Petite thread, YLI wash away thread, Sulky Sticky Plus Stabilizer, which is a temporary stabilizer, and I'll tell you a little more about that in a minute. You'll need a hand sewing needle, and you'll need two sizes of sewing machine needles, the 1280 universal and a 1490 top stitch needle. You'll need a wooden hoop, fabric marker, scissors, a tea towel, some fabric, and I'm going to show you a technique using the Serral wax-free transfer paper. You can find that on Amazon. You'll need plain paper as well as a pencil. So our first step is to find a design that you like for your towel. And you can even draw your own design on a blank piece of paper. Now your design that you select, it could be a photograph that you use a light box to trace onto a piece of paper. It could be something that you download off the internet. So use your imagination for that. I just kept this project pretty basic. Step 2 would be to place your tea towel on a smooth, flat surface, and you want your tea towel to be with the right side up. Then you're going to lay your Serral wax-free trans paper over top of that with, it's not really an ink, I think it's a graphite type of ink. And that's going to be right side down over top of your tea towel. Then you're going to place your design on top with your design facing up so that you can see it, and you're going to trace over your design again with a pencil. You want to put a little bit of pressure onto it so that you can make a transfer. Now, it might not be very dark, and as you can see, my transfer was not very heavy, but what you can do afterwards is use your favorite type of fabric marker to trace over that so that you can see those lines very clearly. The next step is to hoop your tea towel. That just makes it a lot easier to do your hand embroidery, and it really adds some extra support so that your stitches look nice, they come out even, and it just makes it a lot easier to work with. And just use your favorite hand embroidery stitches to sew along the lines of your transfer. Now we're going to create our Maderia applique template. Now some of you might be saying, what is Maderia applique? Okay, what we're going to do is create half of our template, and as you can see here, we're going to place one edge of our template on a fold. So that scallop there is only half of a scallop, because once you open it up, the fabric up, you will have the complete scallop. So what it is it's like an applique that's going to go over the bottom of our towel, and it will have all finished edges so that it will be nice and neat, and it is considered an applique type of technique. You want to measure your project, and in my case my towel was 19 inches wide. Then you need to divide that by 2, and I come up with 9.5 inches. You also have to determine the depth of your Maderia band, and so I decided to do mine about 4 inches deep. Then the next step is to cut out your template once you've drawn it onto your Sulky Sticky Plus stabilizer. Now you can peel that stabilizer off of its release paper and place it directly on your fabric. Now this piece of fabric is folded in half, and it's just slightly a little larger than my band. I didn't really measure this, but with those measurements you want a little bit of extra on all 3 sides. And the Sulky Sticky Plus stabilizer, it is a temporary stabilizer. It's a tearaway stabilizer, but in this case we're using it as a template because it's repositionable and you can use it over several different times. So you're going to place your template along the fold of your fabric, and you want to make sure that you have some extra fabric all around the extra 3 edges of your material. You want to set up your sewing machine for a straight stitch, and you want your stitch width, it could be 3 to even 3.5. You want it kind of long, and your stitch width is not applicable because we're just using a straight stitch. The feet dogs are raised, and I recommend the 1/4 inch foot. If you don't have one, you can certainly use an all-purpose foot. Your tension is normal, and in the top portion of your sewing machine, you're going to use the YLI wash away thread. And in the bottom, you can just use regular construction thread. And you'll want to use a 1280 universal needle. A copy of this presentation will be available on the website, so you can check that out at uncommonthread.com. Now, what I want to demonstrate in this picture is we're going to add a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and you're only going to sew along the 2 long edges of our template. Now, I went ahead and drew little dashed lines to indicate that that is the 2 long edges that you're going to stitch along, but you're not going to stitch along those lines. You're not even going to stitch along the edge of your template. You're going to add a 1/4 inch from your template, and that's why the 1/4 inch foot comes in so handy. So what you can see in the picture on the right hand side is my 1/4 inch foot is along that edge so that it gives me an extra seam allowance. Once you finish that, I had way too much fabric on the raw edge, so I sliced that off using my rotary cutter and mat. And that fabric may only need to be about 1 inch or 1.5 inches beyond the template, and that's on the end where I have open indicated. Now we're going to turn this right side out in a moment. So the thing you want to do now is to clip your curves so that you can do that successfully. Once you've done that, you can turn your band right side out and smooth it out with a dry iron. It has to be a dry iron at this point. Once everything's smoothed out and it looks nice the way that you want, go ahead and press it again, and this time you're going to have to use a generous amount of steam so that you can remove the wash away thread. And that's like the secret to creating the Maderia applique, because it turns over all those other raw edges nice and neatly, and it just really looks finished. Now you might even find that it necessary to use a spray bottle and spray your fabric, or use a damp washcloth of some sort and place it on top of the band so that you can get rid of that wash away thread. Now you can audition the band along your tea towel and pin it to the band. Now our edges are a little bit too long, and we did that purposely. Tuck those raw edges in so that it's finished on both sides. Now we're going to sew along all 4 edges of our Madeira band, and I recommend that you use an edge stitch foot to help you along the scalloped edges, because we had to cut that seam allowance down rather short, and when you turn it under, it's very close to the finished edge, so you want to make sure that you just tack it down. Now, when I made this, I was a little concerned about how wonky my scallops looked, but this stitching that we're going to do is going to help it look a little better, and then we're going to add some decorative stitches to it next. So here are the machine set up for just your straight stitch to apply the Madeira band to your tea towel. It's a straight stitch. The stitch length is about 3.0. The stitch width is not applicable. Again, our feed dogs are raised. You'll want to use an edge stitch foot, particularly for the scalloped edge. For the other 3 sides, you can use your all-purpose foot if you'd like. And your tension may need to be slightly lowered, because this time we're using the Sulky Cotton Blendables thread in a 30 weight to tack that down. Now make sure you do not have that wash away thread in your machine. Make sure that is gone. And for your bobbin thread, you probably want to use a thread that will match the color of your towel. And when working with the Sulky Cotton Blendable threads, we use a 1490 top stitch needle. Here's a close-up picture of a blanket stitch that I added along the edge of my scallops, and it just really helps smooth it all out, and it looks really nice. Now you can use the same color thread that you used for your top stitch, or you could even use a different color, and perhaps you might want to use the 12 weight thread in the cotton blendables. And actually the 12 weight thread, this might get a little confusing here, but the 12 weight thread, remember that's also our cotton petites is available in a 12 weight thread. So I just want to make sure that you're aware of that, that there's just a subtle difference between the threads. It's just the amount of thread that's on the spool. So to do your decorative stitch, select the stitch that you like to apply onto your scallops. It could either be directly on the edge of the fabric itself, or it could be on the tea towel. Your stitch length and width is going to vary according to what you like. Your feed dogs will be raised for this, and make sure that you use a decorative stitch foot that is compatible for the stitch that you are using. And when working with the cotton blendables thread, or in our case it's going to be the cotton petite threads, our tension is going to be slightly lowered. And again, you will continue to use the 1490 top stitch needle. Now that's true for the 30 weight thread. If you're using the 12 weight thread, you can use the 1490, but you might have to increase it up to the 16100 size needle for that. And there is our Madeira applique towel. That is a very simple project. My name is Michelle Umloff. My website is www.sewsimplified.com. I have an online sewing classroom, and if you become one of my sewing friends, you can receive directions to the Not Your Grandma's Bowl. And my newest project available in my classroom is another licensed Sulky project called the Easy Drunkard's Path. It's a wall hanging. I have a podcast on iTunes. It's the So Simplified Podcast, and I'm on Facebook, so give me a like there. Remember to shop at uncommonthread.com for all of your supplies, and you will receive 15% off retail every single day. If you have any questions about this project, feel free to email us at uncommonthread@comporium.net and find us on Facebook. We're called uncommonthread.com. Thank you so much for downloading our video, and I hope you enjoy what you have learned about the cotton petite threads and the Madeira applique tea towel.